Hello. Yep. We are on live on YouTube. So we just wait another 1 or 2 minutes, then we can start. Right. So maybe Chang, if you don't mind, introduce yourself a bit. What makes you? What happened? How did you become a data person?
Yeah, I started my career as a marketing executive in a big bank in Vietnam. At that time, I didn't understand why a campaign was successful, but others failed. So the only numbers we had was like how many customers opened debit or credit card and at when. So most decision was made by my manager based on her own experience and sense. So I decided to change my path. I took a master in business analytics and management sciences in the UK. Then I spent 3 years in the UK. Work as a contractor for a retailer in the US. Now I'm leading a team doing business intelligence for a retailer in Vietnam. So some things about my position. So this is a combination of tactical and technical. So like in simple words, I take BI projects from business needs to production and monitoring.
Interesting. So you said that one of the issue that you had was people don't know why this marketing campaign was successful, why not? Like it was very experience driven instead of data driven. How did you change that in your current company?
Yeah, so I think I think that in my company, by just only doing reports and dashboards, so BI can hardly deliver return on investment. I think that BI should deliver products to make decisions faster and smarter. So, for example, my team, we contributing to cutting down resources spent on manual tasks. For example, we automate a dashboard to calculate bonus for sales and for delivery men. And also we join the workflow to optimize data and help deliver a seamless customer experience. And even we join some projects to help increase sales and profit, like layout optimization or inventory optimization. And actually the data here, I think in recent years, there is an emerging change of data. So a lot of companies started invested on data, big data or machine learning. And I think that time flies and many things change. In the last 7 years, we haven't been able to access a lot of data, but now the volume of data, the velocity and variety has like increased significantly.
Yeah, that's interesting. So in what are the challenges actually of doing a retail business? I know that you're on a retail business now. Like what are the challenges that you think like having a good data team or data leader like yourself, it can help the business, like topic wise, what are those challenges?
About challenge problems, do you mean the business challenge or
Yeah,
like
business problems. Yeah, business problems.
So business problems. Let's take an example. So the business problems always come from like company strategies. So I think there are three perspectives. So the first one is like customers perspective, how to acquire more customers and how to satisfy them, and is always financial problems. So how to have EBITDA even or EBIT even. So like how to optimize inventory and how to find great store locations so we can have profitable stores. And the last one is about process. For example, in retail, we have many processes that need to be optimized in order to cut down resources. So BI can, actually, I think we can contribute in all of those processes.
Oh, very cool. I know that you have prepared a bunch of slides for us to educate someone like me. So why don't you share your slides so we can have a look to see what do you want to share on those and what have you achieved in your current company.
Yes.
By the way, I used to work with you and miss working with you. I learned a lot when I worked with you. Yeah, it was fun time. Let's see how that evolved from that time. That was like 2 years ago till now. Let's see.
Can you see my screen?
Yes, perfectly fine.
I think you just have a very interesting question of how BI can help tackle business problems. So the first slide, I want to share some examples of what my team are doing. So these are some projects that I have been excited about recently. So on the left, you can see the first one is store location intelligence. I call it intelligence, not an analysis, because it is a process. We automated the process of grading prospect locations. Then we also detect potential locations using this map on the right-hand side. And the result are our recommend. We use so many different data in this map, not only demographics, but also competitors and other factors that we have been researched on, that we have proven that it will affect our store's performance. So this helps our process with being seamless between many teams in the company. So previously, so the team, the store location finder, the store location finder one, they just based on their own experience and they decided to open store, but sales maybe have different views on this location and end up sometimes the store open and not profitable. Next, this graph 3. So last month we have developed a financial modeling using this tree logic. So obviously I cannot share the model because it is something confidential. But we're using this tree logic to build a model. So we do our forecasting in Google BigQuery. Then we loaded our data to an interface where the finance team, they can do simulation and they can make a financial plan. So our management team, actually, we also use this map to have alignments on KPIs. So we only pick metrics that, that we think really impact the company's EBIT. So the EBIT here, earnings before interest and tax. For example, here, by doing inventory optimization, I think I will impact gross profit, for example, and my KPI will have alignment with other board members. And also using this, we can quickly answer why and where problems happen and how we can tackle issues. And I also have the last example here. So this is an infrastructure of how we automate list management in our company. So basically digital lists, it can come in various forms like customer call or customer leaving their phone number in a form, or customer chat to our Facebook, for example, and we automate the distribution. So list to agents, and we also monitor service level agreement, because in a world where customer always want fast and like seamless experience, I think it's very important. And we also do list scoring, and actually it has been quite great at the moment. Oops, the system I just talked about before, because I think we need to be improved. Because the key result are we want to increase conversion rate and also increase customer satisfaction. Is there any question here?
Yeah. So, but I mean, these are the hobbies, right? I love this conversation personally. So, for example, on the when you talking about the graph 1 or graph 2, right? Do you do any A/B testing, or do you follow any of those concepts to test to see which model works better, or is this a store better, that store perform better based on different strategy?
So we have my company. So square meter or location. And actually we do it like it's like a ongoing process. So why I say it is a product, because we have 6 steps, but actually we do it like iterate as an iteration. And for example, in Q1 we run this store location analysis, and we see the success rate of just 30%. And the next iteration, we try to find out which type of store model have problem. And sometimes we go to field work with sales, and sometimes we go to this location to interview customers to understand why. And we have some assumptions on things that need to be improved, and we run the model, keep running the model until we see the number has been improved.
And that's interesting. So you're mentioning that, for example, you implemented this lead management or lead scoring.
Chris, sorry, I cannot hear you clearly.
For me to understand, right, any lead that comes from digital channel, do you take it into comments and comment on that? For example, when you hear me now?
So example on list scoring model.
Yeah. If you can give me, for example,
Yeah.
what are the things you do when you receive a lead? What do you do on it? Just an example. Of course, I know it's confidential, but just some examples that we can understand. What do you do when you receive a lead?
Yeah, once you see a lead, there are many labels and attributes. For example, the source medium, which channels, which campaigns it come from, and what did users do in your website, and actually like what is their location, and many things so on. So we can use these labels to detect the signal, and actually in the past, the model can learn which type of people and which behaviors can be scored as highly potential, and the likelihood of making a purchase is high. And then we should optimize this list. So basically, the priority score of this list will be higher than others, and when go to the agent flow, it will be optimized.
I see. Cool. Interesting. Please go on. Continue. Things prefer.
Okay, so I think the today topic is about how to get high return on investment from data. So I have prepared 2 slides, which are, I think, very simple what we are doing in our organization, just to share. And if you have any views or questions, you can ask me. So the first approach, I think, is when defining our next action and our roadmap, I always be customer-led or mission-led, not technology-led. So in my view, I think solving customers' problem must always be the top priority of BI. So my team follow a life cycle with 4 stages. The first one, we start as a company's vision, missions, and strategies. Then based on aspect in the strategy, like I said before, like customer, financial, or process, and we work with other departments, and we make alignment on what needs to be done and what are priorities. For example, you can see here in the right-hand side, I have some example of what are my team priorities this year. And we also answer some questions like which metrics we can make impact on. And sometimes this can be very helpful because it helps us to eliminate efforts that spend on unmeaningful ad hoc tasks. And when I kick off a project, for example, I kick off the inventory optimization, I have to make an alignment and commitments with C-suite member about the objectives and key results of my project, which has to be time-bound and measurable. So we can measure return on investment. And the third step, obviously, is we do develop and monitoring. But I want to spend more time to explain about the fourth one, which is learning and improvement, because I think actually it is the most important step. I think to be successful, the BI team need to treat data system or products as constantly iterate on process. Because I think over time product will change and goals will change, business will change. So I think data is an ongoing and never-ending project. So let's take an example here. So after we wrap up the financial modeling project, at some point, the finance team, they find a piece of data that doesn't look right because they change their chart of accounts and our model is no longer accurate. And as a result, they don't just, and then they stop using the data. And at this point, when we find the problem, I have to speak to our CFO and we talk about how we can improve the model and we have to do this. So the user keep using the model. And if we stop, then I think it's a waste list. It's a waste. So do you have any question here? So I will move to the last one, where I share about how to spend less time on data preparation and more on delivering context.
I think this is great. Please continue.
Yes. So, so I think many teams are most constellation. So how to reduce this time and how to spend more time on insights and spend time on delivering results. So in my team, there are two ways of working. So the first one is about like something in the left-hand side, like the team's culture or manifesto. So it is very simple what like we shouldn't and what we should do. The first one is very straightforward, that we analyzing metrics, not tracking metrics. So for example, if you say like the digital conversions dropped like 30%, then but you cannot answer why and how we improve that. So that is not what we do. Like we have to detect, is that because of the list quality, or is that because of we cannot meet the service level agreement, or is that any downtime in our website, for example? And secondly, I think that business mindset should go over developer mindset in my team, because I think a core principle is that to build a good product, I think we have to deeply understand our target users and customers. I also see some big challenges in my previous company. So previously I worked in a US retailer, as I mentioned before. At that time, in my first 2 months, I spent most of my time doing data validation, because there is something happened in our ETL process where our data doesn't match the finance team, and no one trusts the BI team. No one uses our dashboard like, and all time building reports is like a waste. And I think the most important thing is that we have some version of the truth that is clear to the whole company. So in my company, we are very lucky because we have the support of a very strong finance team. So we have a clear chart of accounts and we do queries mapping together until the number in our BI system and the P&L match every single digit. So I think that it should be the goal of every BI team. And the next one is I think it's very interesting, because from my view, I think I prefer specification rather than diversification. So I think analysts, many of them can do like at least SQL or Python. But in my team, when doing deep analysis, I need a specialist to do the job. So let's take an example. I have a digital analyst. Actually, he's just a data analyst at the beginning, but then he was changed on digital, and he is able to run Facebook, Google Ads, and he can set up Google Tag Manager, understand Google Analytics, and this skill set I think needs only about 1 to 2 years to be proficient enough to do deep analysis. So like just have sometimes I also have some swap. For example, an analyst doing merchandising, she can handle building the digital funnel report. But however, when doing like deep understanding and really do like granular analysis, I prefer to have a specialist to do this job. And the last one is break silo. So I think to improve trust and transparency of information and therefore confidence in decision-making process, we need to run an agile methodology in our team, in data team. So every day we do a stand-up and we can quickly identify obstacles and we generate ideas to do the job quicker. And I also think that the break silo is not only within the team, but also within other departments in our organization. My team actually, we can go with sales to do the field work in all provinces in Vietnam, just to understand what they are doing, how they are doing sales, what is their difficulty, and then actually we go and interview customers to understand so what are you looking for when you want to buy a mattress? Why you make this decision to select a store? Why you come to the other competitors, not us? So, however, I think the left-hand side will not work with if we cannot meet the standard on the right-hand side. I have prepared some questions. That's very simple. So if you answer the question and you see many yes, then even you have everything on the left. Your team is very business oriented, but you will end up spend more time on complex and manual process of data cleaning and consolidation. For example, here is the third question. If the data is not accurate and just worthy, then I think at this point, as in this case, you should spend more time on fixing the ETL problem before doing any analysis. And for example, the fifth question here. So if the data modeling doesn't offer the possibility to do agile development, and then I think you cannot deliver any analysis fast. So for example, in my company, we don't have a big design upfront. So instead, we split data modeling into small iterations, and each iteration involving and satisfying customer needs for a subset of stakeholders. And but I think that many companies, they are making mistake that they maybe at first they spend like up to 1 to 2 years building a great data infrastructure first, because they think that when great data is in place and they can start analyzing and get high return on investment. But I think that it is impractical because like when business changes, maybe the model doesn't relevant anymore. So do you have any view here? Any comment here?
Yeah, so there was a question, someone in the chat asked a question. So, in marketing, we have a term called moment of truth, meaning the moment that the customer chooses what to do or what to buy, right? So the question in the chat is, how do you use data to detect what is the moment of truth?
So
Because I think this is one of
I
the
have
big topics that
honestly,
you actually work on that a lot.
yeah, for my company, we haven't deep dive in customization and personalization. As I said before, I'm in a project to build a customer data platform and with personalized engines to do this. And for example, in my company, we try to collect all customer data touch points. So customers, they not only have a touch point on the website, but also in many others. For example, a customer, maybe they have been fill in a form before go to the website, and the source medium of the list can help us to understand, for example, which keywords they were searching before they went to the website and which products they have viewed before. And at the moment, we have to offer the right products and the right offer to them, so to prevent customers fall into the competitors' funnel. And for example, my team is doing a customization engines, and we, for example, if a customer select a product, we offer with high ticket size, we try to offer higher vouchers, and we send these vouchers, unique vouchers, directly to customers' phone number. And in the meantime, the list was sent to our contact center, and the sales team is able to see what was the customer's behavior on website, and they can customize their conversations with customer in order to reflect the customer demands.
Thank you. You mentioned that we don't need to do too much investment on the infrastructure early on, right? No need to do big, because a lot of companies, especially the big ones, right? They like to do this, like what is the end state architecture, and then they spend 2 years, 3 years just building that, and then when they are already there, they know that most of it is useless, right? So I'm quite interested to hear more about your experience of that, right? But also my question is, but it seems like you need at least some minimum systems, right?
Yeah, actually,
So
in
what
my
are those
case,
minimum systems that you need?
the reason is because we are using an ERP that is very strong. So the ERP was supported by a relational modeling database underlying. So to do analysis is very easy when you have a very structured data upfront. And then when we use a dimensional modeling. So by using dimensional modeling, analysts can easy to build multi-dimensional reports. I know that for many companies like banks, because the data structures are like the volume and the velocity and veracity is like huge. So you spend more time on this. But I think that this is something parallel. You should do like everything in parallel. So like when you do analysis and you see that some angles of the data need to be reflected in the data structure, then you can do the same thing.
Yeah, understood. Chang, I think you have one more slide. Am I right?
No, I finished.
Okay, okay.
I want
So
to spend more time on discussion, so I only.
yeah, I have another question actually for you, right? So how is the relationship, or what should be the relationship of someone like you, which is leading the BI and business intelligence of the company, to a technical guy like a CTO in the organization, right? So what's the relationship between head of BI and head of technology?
I think there is a collaboration, and actually my team manage our data warehouse by ourselves, but at some point when build the technical landscape, data is like core function of the technical landscape, and we have to understand the operation and what the CTO wants to do to optimize process and automations. And sometimes my team can prepare data and can automate workflow. My data engineer, he can join some projects with the CTO, for example, like to design a POS system, because like we understand the data the most. And in order to smooth all process in the company, we have to work with others closely.
Yeah, understood. Yeah. So as a last question that I'd like to ask is, so what is next for you, right? What are you doing next things? What are the next interesting things you guys are going to work on to add more value to the business? Of course, I don't want to reveal the confidential information, but technology-wise, trend-wise, on the data that you are working on, what do you see is your next challenges that you're going to try and experiment on?
Next challenge. This year we are mainly focusing on omni-channel. So like I said before, the biggest project of this year my team is doing is a customer data platform. So when doing this, we not only we want to build a system to unify our data, customers' data, but we really want to do marketing customization and personalization with the digital team in order to increase conversion rate and to increase sales and awareness. So I think my biggest challenge now is how to keep up with the digital transformation development out there and build up our skill set in my team to be more digital focused. For example, like I said before, like my digital analyst, he knows how to run ads, and like actually there are many different ways to do e-commerce business out there, and our team as a team, if my team want to really contribute to the business success, we have to learn like and grow with the company. So this year, this is what I'm focusing on.
All right. Trang, I used to work with you very closely. I don't know for how long, but it was really fun the time that I worked with you. Miss working with you as well. I also want to say thank you for coming online. I know it's, in this busy time, it's not easy. I appreciate you getting online and sharing your knowledge and experience with me and others that who are listening to this video. Thanks.
Thank you.
All right. Have a good day. Take care. Bye.